Well, welcome, new friend. How are you today?
I'm good. How's it going?
Oh, I'm doing so well. I'm with my friend Art today, who's
Hi.
actually keeping a plant alive. We're taking it over and under. So if you want to wage a bet right now on how long that plant lasts.
I don't have much of a green thumb either, but I just got this one over the weekend. I'm just going to do everything I can to keep it alive.
That's
Awesome.
I sing to it at night, Hillary, I just want to say. And it has now been alive for almost 2.5 months. So, I'm just saying that I don't know if it's my horrific singing that it enjoys or whatever it is. I recommend the singing
You know
technique.
what I've heard? If you breathe on it, carbon dioxide, too much in the atmosphere, but okay for your house plant maybe.
Well,
What a
that
great
is.
idea, right? And it cleans it out too, right? So all these benefits here.
Well,
Yeah.
do you know why the sun went to school? To
I
get brighter.
don't. I should know one of these jokes today.
It went to school to get brighter. So anyway, Hillary, what are we going to be talking about today? I hear, business case for sustainability, but you're the expert here. I'm just the face for radio. So what do we got going on?
So I guess maybe I'll introduce myself a little bit, tell you about the team that I work on at AWS. I am part of the Sustainability Transformation Acceleration Team. Lots of big words, but STAT for short, because we need action now. And our team is quite unique in the sense that we are really working with those pioneering customers and organizations who are really thinking about sustainability beyond just kind of their operational impact, to really see it for what it is. Obviously making sure that you walk the talk, get your house in order, that's all really important. But actually, sustainability represents one of the most exciting innovation opportunities of our time. And really, it's about flipping that narrative.
So we're flipping narratives, flipping the script, as they say. But when we're looking at, sustainability, we mentioned it's a broad topic, right? And I'm assuming that, developing a framework to go along with that is going to help us rein that broad topic in so we can address more specifics, right?
Yeah, and maybe just talking a little bit of why we're doing all of this, right? Like what does sustainability look and mean for various people, organizations? When it comes to corporate sustainability, it really is about making sure that organizations are able to be really successful in the future, even as things get more intense in terms of being carbon um, intense, resource constrained. How do we make sure that we're still able to create value for people, planet, and our organizations, to make sure that we are operating in a way that's sustainable, circular, and inclusive, really ultimately to be more resilient than ever before, right? So if I just kind of pop onto the screen a little bit of how we're talking about, it's really about being future fit. And this is kind of the frame I want us to keep in mind as we think about it, which is, how do we look at our businesses in a way to create value, drive preference and loyalty, to stay relevant by creating more. So that's the whole idea of doing good for people and planet is also good for organizations.
I love the definition here that we've got, even defining it as an adjective, Hillary. This is, and also creates a great way for people to understand kind of what we're doing or what your team is doing. And I just comment is I love the acronym STAT and the importance of it and everything for today. How helping people and how we can help those customers become fit. So let's dive a little bit more into preparing kind of in the future and leveraging this the adjective here.
Yeah, and I think or more and more organizations are really starting to catch on to this, right? They're hearing it from their stakeholders, their suppliers, their customers, even their employees, that this is something that really matters to them, right? And I think not only is it the right thing to do, not only is it a moral imperative, more and more so we're seeing that it's a commercial imperative as well. And if I just go into this next slide, you know, this is why, for the first time, we're seeing sustainability rise to the top of the CEO agenda in boardrooms. And you can see, look at the numbers around kind of the next $1,000 billion unicorns are going to be in the climate and tech space, right? There's the funding that's going and being injected into this space over the next couple of years, not just from sustainability budgets, but from IT budgets. It really shows that, sustainability is not just separate, right? If you're an aspiring tech leader and you're not thinking about sustainability, you're really missing a trick. So yeah, I think that's super important. And
it's a trend, as you mentioned, for CEOs, for not just that CEOs care about it, it's as you mentioned, it's the end customers care about it. And all of us are likely to care about it as well. The impact to every one of us is super important here, and so it's part of, as you say, doing the right thing. Yeah, let's talk about the evolution here of the landscape.
Yeah, and I wanted to say that that's a really good point, right? At Amazon, we're really customer obsessed. We want to know what's on the top of mind of our customers and what their challenges are. And not saying sustainability is the answer to everything, but the more we dive into it, a lot of these issues are really interconnected. So really helping our customers address these operational challenges, but to also really look at the opportunity in them helping their end user and customers be more sustainable. That's where the opportunity and the value creation happens. And I think to capture that, we need to really shift our mental models. We love our mental models at Amazon, at AWS. So really it's thinking about sustainability from being bolt on to built in. It's not come to the cloud and we'll help you be more sustainable, right? It's really about, oops, sorry, let me just go back one. So it's really about, we're thinking about transformation. Digital transformation is hard, right? We've got this once in a generation opportunity to make sure sustainability is at the heart of it, right? And we know that twin transformers outperform. Right thing to do, smart thing to do. I mentioned that already. Just by solving the UN Sustainable Development Goals, I think it's like a modest, $12 trillion. Less harm, more good. The bar's been raised, right? We're hearing organizations talk about being net positive, being regenerative, thinking about yourself alone within your four walls is no longer enough. And I think, we talk about reporting. I think folks are probably starting to hear a little bit about ESG, environmental, social governance reporting. And while risk does get a lot of attention, we know what's going to really excite our leaders is the opportunity. So instead of just thinking about managing past impact, it's really around how do you incorporate sustainability into your core business strategy so that your growth objectives moving forward is not just in harmony with people and planet, it is making progress and positive impact. And today, I think on Earth Day, you'll hear a lot from the rest of my colleagues about sustainability of and in the cloud, but I'm personally super excited about what sustainability through the cloud looks like.
So I love that. And I was just at an entire event talking about ESG, Hillary, last month, and talking about the importance of ESG to companies, to development, and also to the employees of the company, as you mentioned earlier. So the power of this is really exciting. And it's how we do things, how you can do things to make an even greater impact, or how companies can make an even greater impact here as well. So yeah, and I think, they were telling us at that discussion, how important ESG is to the top Fortune 500 companies, to leaders in the companies as well. So I think, as all of us and people out there kind of want to work with a lot of these larger organizations, you have to recognize the importance of this as part of your development and part of your business plan, right? I mean, it's no longer something that, it's nice to have. It needs to be a fundamental part of that business plan as you develop that here and be prepared.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I know one of the topics we have later today is more about right sizing and only consuming the resources that you need, and that has multiple benefits. One, the carbon emissions is what it needs to be, and two, you're not over provisioning hardware, and thus you have a sunk cost of just waste because you over provision something and you don't actually need that much compute or those resources. But also the flexibility of being able to scale up and scale down too. And I think that's where a lot of benefits come from when it comes to different technologies that AWS offers.
Yeah, and I think thinking about Graviton. So prior to AWS, I was the Global Sustainability Strategy Director for ARM, which is the architecture at the heart of our Graviton processors, powering some of our most energy efficient data centers. So, really thinking about the entire value chain, right? Like every little bit makes a difference, and really leaning into what is your superpower and how do you like hack it with sustainability. And I
Yeah.
think that's exactly what we're asking our customers to think about with us is what are you uniquely placed to solve? And, why is it that you exist? There is a challenge out there, a social, environmental, global challenge out there where, organizations can really lean in and make progress on these very important topics while also creating value for the business and generating new business models, products, services, and more future fit industries.
I think that you used a word that I like or I'm obsessed with at the moment, efficiency as well, especially when we talk about Graviton. And Graviton, I'm pretty passionate about. It's something my team works on all the time as well. But the thing I like to talk about, one of the things I like to talk about with Graviton and coming to Amazon from a silicon background as well is it's the efficiency of the architecture as well. We're not talking about, if you look at our Graviton processor, there's not a sacrifice of performance here. It is the efficiency in both the design and the application so that you don't have, so that helps us to, in the application in case of Graviton, to actually save money. And I think one of the things, to extract, to kind of talk to everybody out there about is also, that's one thing that all of us can do when we design something or we deliver something, like, to efficiently do whatever that task is. The most efficient way to do something frequently can help you create a more sustainable, more sustainability or sustainable innovation as you go.
Totally.
Now, from your point of view, Hillary, what is it that AWS has to offer? And for those that are watching, either right now or in the future when this is on demand, that they're able to reference to begin this whole shift of mental models of sustainability and look to bring more sustainable practices or a framework into their organization?
Great question. Big question. And a question that we're asking ourselves every time we have our customer conversations around the big S word, right? What do we mean when we want to talk about sustainability, and how can AWS, support our customers on this journey? And, really we do see it as a journey. And I'd like to just pull up this one slide on my screen. So this is a very simple visual to help maybe talk us through how we're supporting our customers. And I apologize in advance to those with, color vision, challenges. This is very much red bars along the bottom, representing the reduction of the operational impact that an organization has when just running their business, because, organizations are going to have a footprint. And then up here are the kind of green bars to represent the positive impact that you as an organization leaning into your purpose is going to bring to the world. And what we're really trying to help our customers do is accelerate their journey so that they can really progress on these operational challenges that they might be trying to tackle in their organization, everything from their IT footprint to looking at how we can leverage cloud technology to, be more efficient with their resources, waste, water, tracking biodiversity, right? These are all of the kind of sustainability challenges an organization will have just by nature of running their business. But if we're able to look at it through a sustainability lens and apply technology as an enabler, as an accelerator, not saying it's the silver bullet at all, that's when we can start making progress and lean into how our customers can support their end customers by being more sustainable, right? And I think, this is where solutions that you might have developed to solve for your own organization, how can we actually, share that along your entire value chain, helping your supply chain, helping your end customers to really be able to make that change. But what we know is that sometimes when you have a sustainable product or service, to really, really unlock the true value of it, it's really going into deep into your organization, like we were talking about, right? Embedding it into your corporate strategy, right? Really understanding that the way that we're measuring success, what our business model looks like, that might continue to innovate to be able to accommodate for these new streams of businesses being born out of helping our customers solve challenges. So, as this is a bit of a journey, but it's not necessarily linear. We all know that. You can have different activities across different levels at any given time. And it's not really maturity, because these are more kind of the types of activities or a customer might need to undertake. As you go up the levels, though, it does get harder. It requires more innovation, because some of these problems we haven't solved before, whereas some of the other ones we do have off-the-shelf solutions with our partners and at AWS, so we can accelerate through those ASAP. But also the ability to have a greater impact also increases, right? Because you're going from your own operations, your kind of wider supply chain, your scope 3 for those who understand the scopes. I'm sure someone will cover that later today. And also to your customers, and ultimately wider industry transformation.
Yeah, I think this is a great model, and when we talk through this and look at this, Hillary, it's the idea of creating. I think I've heard some of our own execs talk about creating a culture of something, but here is kind of creating a culture, in this case, of sustainability, and thinking about that as you do things. And back to the earlier discussion that we had about Graviton, for example, the efficiency that we talk about here also does a lot of other things too. It's not, I mentioned efficiency of the design, but by being efficient and thinking about this and innovating in this space, you need to use perhaps less materials in the product that you create if you're more efficient about it. At least talking, by the way, from this in the kind of more silicon perspective, since that's my area of expertise. But that efficiency allows you to get from level 1 all the way out to the larger organizational-wide transformation that we're talking about here today.
Yeah. And I want to say that that's such an important consideration, right? We need to make sure that the benefits of technology, don't get overshadowed by the impacts of it. We know that technology can play a role, and, making sure that the kind of underlying efficiency of it is a continuous improvement. It really kind of forms this level 1, 2 kind of activity space. Like I was saying, it's not always chronological, but often, you kind of really need to know and have that credibility foundation as well as that data foundation for you to be able to, really get insight on what those opportunities are and what to lean into. So, having that kind of start is super important. And for us, really, it's thinking about how we're working with some of our customers to help them understand the kind of carbon impact of moving from on-premise data centers onto the cloud, and making that a part of the business case. Because, even if it's an IT decision, right, having a view of what the larger organizational goal is going to be, a key factor as well. So I think for all of those who don't necessarily work in sustainability in their day job, as having it in their title, there are things you can really lean into your kind of specialism to really inject a bit of sustainability into that.
Yeah, I think it's about the decisions everybody makes. Sorry, Kyle, I jumped in on you.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Everything is okay. Actually, there was a question in the chat where someone was asking, is this for computer programming? And actually, there's been independent studies out there that have looked at the different programming languages out there to see, what is the greenest programming language. Hillary, do you happen to have any information that AWS might have done for the different services? Because I know there's one for programming that was independent outside of AWS, but sustainability can kind of apply to every piece of the stack, so to speak, from the service used to the programming language that was used, to just a dozen other variables when we're looking at it from a technical point of view as well, not just a business point of view, but like as us developers and programmers and architects, how can we impact that?
I think, just exactly thinking about kind of, architectural design principles, like how do we ensure that we are, eliminating unnecessary or, dumb compute, right? How do we look at whether there are further efficiencies, like you said, moving up, down along the stack like we haven't before? And also, things like, the billions of compute hours we're using to, catch bugs, verify whatever we're doing, right? What would applying data science, machine learning, AI to that process do in terms of making it more efficient and smarter instead of kind of working down this never-ending task, right? So it is really a chance for all of us to rethink, not just the way, like you said, how we do business, but how we, develop products, like whatever role you're playing, wherever you are along that value chain, whether it's, from the very start of the value chain by design, where where I was with ARM and really understanding, the craziest stat is 80% of environmental impact is usually determined at the design phase. So, for developers, for builders, we are really that foundation. So whatever we do, even if it may feel incremental, if you look at the scale, like that has a massive impact. And I think, at this stage, we've got, the clock is ticking, action now, stat. We need everyone to be on board.
And I think that goes back, to go back to the conversation that Kyle and I were having earlier, where we were using some of the cloud resources to be able to, in that case, do identification of algae in a lake that was purposely chosen, I think, Kyle, so that neither you nor I could properly pronounce it. But also, like, we'll also talk about later today, how AWS is also, using our cloud to be able to provide data to others to help make decisions as well, and being able to share that data cross-platform so that, you don't have to go out there. The idea that you have to go out and recreate information. No, you don't have to recreate it. If you need, and you're operating in a business that could use some of that data from NOAA, we're offering you the ability to do that. You don't have to restore it and upload it to the cloud. It's available for free. And so part of that is also sharing the learnings that all of us have here. And we're going to talk even more about how AWS does some of that sharings, even as we build data centers and learn about concrete and stuff, something that will be more interesting when we talk about it.
Yeah. And I think, like data, I'm going to put on, obviously my environmentalist hat. I used to be a climate and energy campaigner with Greenpeace, but I also know that driving change, in our current economic model also means, being able to articulate what that value is for stakeholders across the board. And I think data is a really interesting way for organizations who only see sustainability either as a cost center or cost saving at best, to really start seeing the value, even in a very basic financial way, is being able to share, sell commercial sustainability data and list it on ADX, AWS Data Exchange, right? But then, like you said, there is going to be sustainable, like Earth-related, climate-related data that, should be open source and be a public good. So when I talk to organizations and, customers and businesses, I really would urge them to take that two-pronged approach. You have valuable commercial data that's going to help others create commercial solutions. Sure, you might want to, generate some revenue off of it from ADX, but if there's data that really is going to help advance on topics like climate, biodiversity, all of those really important issues that will affect all of us, no matter where we are, you put it on ASDI. Like, people are doing really cool stuff on ASDI.
I think that that's a great approach, especially to the audience out there, Kyle. A lot of people here are probably very familiar with open source projects and other things like that, right? So, the idea of using the community to help improve the outcome for everybody. There's plenty of open source software that I've been a part of and other things like that. And I think this is a great example of how we can do some of that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And Hillary, thank you so much for your time and especially your expertise in this field and how we can really think better about driving our sustainability efforts instead of just taking it as a broad term. I think the term, like I use the word security, it has such a broad term,
Yeah.
but we bring it into a framework where we can actually apply it and actually make better business decisions that are both better for, sustainability, but also look for ways to potentially drive cost down too.
Exactly.
All right, Hillary, you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for your time and your
Thank
expertise. It was awesome to chat.
Great day, everyone.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Yeah.
Take
Happy
care.
Earth Day.
Bye.
Bye. All right, Kyle, I think we're gonna, I had an opportunity earlier in the week to talk to some folks from Splunk about how, working between Splunk and AWS, we're able to do some sustainability efforts. So I think maybe it's time for maybe we have a little conversation. We're gonna, Kyle, unfortunately, you weren't able to make it, so it's me and AM. I know. But, and I did have a different shirt on earlier for everyone who shouts it out later on when I talked, hey,